I just want to say I'm so excited to be here and be presenting. This presentation is the result of the past couple of decades of my attempt to integrate my values and what we were practicing in our center way back when, with actual starting horses and rehabilitating horses that had some serious behavior issues due to their past experience. So I am, go back far enough to have been a NARA certified therapeutic riding instructor. I went to my first equine specialist workshop before the certification existed, and so I've seen it kind of grow and change. But what I recognized is there wasn't, to me, a really great horsemanship model that I could look to. And I had my business was primarily starting horses and working with horses that had, problems. And so I've come to realize that what I really need to focus on is training humans. And so this has to do with, basically just how we show up and how the horse actually experiences us, and creating a space they want to be in, something that feels good to them, that gives them some sense of relief, and communicating in a language they already know. So we don't have to train them through conditioning. In the same way we don't condition our friends and stuff. We just have a relationship, right? And hopefully it's a good one, and hopefully we can regulate ourselves and work things out and move forward together. So why is horsemanship for an equine assisted learning or therapy center a little different than for competition or performance? Because it's not valued on what we've taught them to do. Their value is just who they are. And we have to hold a space where they can be safely who they are, but that we can also get through the day-to-day. And hopefully make each moment with them a quality moment. So who thinks soaking a foot is fun? But it could really be a serious bonding moment with your horse. You're taking care of them, you're nurturing them. If they let you, if you're doing it together and you're just hanging out quietly, doing nothing, creating a space where maybe you get some insight or something, and I don't have to tell you all about all that stuff. So that's what I love about speaking today, is y'all already get it. Okay, so what I want to do is give you a model of horsemanship that you can use and implement, and that works, and that's going to also be in alignment with the work that you're doing. So I'm also a yoga teacher, and I used to do what I call yoga for equestrians, and we would kind of blend the practice of horsemanship and yoga. Which I don't really focus on yoga so much anymore, but that idea of mindfulness and being grounded, calming your own nervous system, being self-aware in how you're interacting and how the horse is responding, being in the present so you can notice what's happening in the present and respond to it. So again, this isn't horse training. So let's just start with what I think is one of the simplest grounding practices, which is diaphragmatic breathing. So y'all probably are all familiar with it. So if you can imagine that, your diaphragm is a sheet of muscle under your rib cage below your lungs. We're going to just take a moment and kind of stand in. Okay, this is also not a spectator sport. So and you can do it seated. I don't care. It's fine. But let's do this, y'all. Okay, so we're going to just stand in a comfortable standing position. And notice how as you breathe in, you can bring the diaphragm down so your belly expands. And as you breathe out, you can pull the diaphragm up, kind of pushing that air out, and the belly contracts. And then you breathe out enough, you just can't wait to breathe in again. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out slow, maybe through the mouth. When I'm teaching this to kids, I'll tell them, like, imagine it's your 90th birthday, okay, and you're going to blow out all the candles on your cake. So we've contracted us, breathing in and blowing out all the candles. So another really easy practice is scanning your body and noticing where you can let go of any unnecessary tension. So imagine you just have a cord attached to the crown of your head. You're just suspended there, so your shoulders, your hips, your heels are perfectly in alignment with no effort at all. What if you were just a skeleton, like a stack of bones? How could you arrange yourself so that you didn't need your muscles? So what does that feel like to just let go of any unnecessary tension in your body? And maybe soften your eyes, which allows your peripheral vision to expand. And just kind of feel soft and relaxed in your body. So now, I want the horse to feel like I'm a safe place. I want my nervous system to be in that parasympathetic state. Because the minute I get triggered, my breathing changes, my muscles tense, all that, out the window. All right, and they respond to all that. I don't have to tell y'all this, you know. Y'all know this. So, all right, now, I'm going to imagine Ranger has a big bubble around him. And I'm going to approach him by walking around to the front of his bubble. And if he changes direction, I guess we're going to change which way we go. So I'm just staying in position. When he stops, I'm going to acknowledge that. Cool. Now I'm going to be like, can I have your permission to come in? So later I'm going to talk about how horses respond to our energy, our position, our movement, and our body language. So if I come at the horse, that might push him away. But if I come towards him asking permission, he can read that change in my body language. So as I approach, if he moves away, I can back up. So this just lets him know that I'm listening and I heard him and I'm responding. So walking around the bubble and asking permission is a way that we are already in conversation. And so I need to have a little intention here. So my intention is for me and Ranger to give y'all an awesome demonstration of moving together. So I really need for him to let me get this going here. So I'm asking him that. And he's like, okay, I guess. So having intention is really important. Horses pick up on the subtle energy, you know what I mean? And so, you know, and they're very generous. Horses are so generous, it'll melt your heart. Again, I don't have to tell y'all this. But only if we hold a space for that, right? Okay, now, he is very distracted. He's leaving. I can ask again, but I can also be a little bit more direct, and I'm going to move him forward. I'm going to back up. I'm going to come around to the front, and I'm going to ask again. And he's like, So maybe what feels best for him is me being here. And I can just do some grounding here, right? Soften in my body. Now, I really cannot wait to get my hands on him because I'm going to show you guys some really cool stuff that we can do through touch. But I want his permission. Now, I want to show him some things that he maybe has never experienced before, so he might think it's weird and avoid it. And horses will avoid things that are new and different and weird. So often my job is getting them to try it without like forcing it on them. And that's that fine line. That's where this stuff is so tricky. You know, how do we change behaviors? How do we get a response? How do we move through resistance in a way that builds relationship and makes it better? All right, so I'm going to ask him to turn this way, and I'm going to push the bubble a little bit there. And good, thank you. So I'm going to be a little bit more direct. And I'm going to start and be like, hey, what do you like? And I can't remember, who was it with the scritchy scratchies yesterday? Yes. Where's your scritchy scratchy spot? All right, so I'm going to start by doing things that he likes. Now, I don't know what he likes. I got to ask him, right? So I'm watching how he responds. And he'll tell me through his body language. So this is really fun. People will be like, oh, is your horse like, da-da-da? Like, I mean, like, you have to ask them, right? That'd be like, do humans like, fill in the blank? Like, we have some differences. All right, so I'm going to start with things that feel good to him. So in your outline, you'll see, like, I've kind of designed my presentation of this into 3 parts. And the first part, tier 1, is how you show up and how the horse experiences you. Things like your nervous system, things like setting boundaries for yourself. We haven't got into that yet, but we will. Does the horse feel you as something solid that they have to soften and organize around? Or are you something they can just shove out of the way? So this is where we have to get grounded. We have to set boundaries. We have to bring our energy up. We have to get a response. So it can't just be all like warm and fuzzy, but that part's fun too. Like that. So building connection is about where we hold a space that really feels good to them. So what feels good? Well, relief feels good, right? When somebody says, hey, can I help you? Can I just take that burden off of you? Can I give you a place where you can just let go and relax? All right, so how can I help my horse in that way? So when I approach there, each time I can do my little handshake. And I tell my students, I'm like, when horses greet each other, they put their little noses out. And so I don't have a long nose, so I have to pretend. So that's my long nose. So I'm going to start with what I call just a grounding touch. And it's literally doing nothing but grounding myself with my hand on. Can I take a deep breath? Because I'm going to embody the thing I want from my horse. So can I go, and maybe, you know how like if you could just get hugged and held, how good that can feel? I mean, we pick up babies, we hold them, we hug them. So I'm not going to pick up Ranger, but I can support his body in a way that feels held and supported. So I am going to put my hands on his rib cage and just kind of gently lift up and do nothing else, just support him. So y'all are going to hear me talk about my teacher, Mary DeBono, because I've integrate a lot of what she teaches into my practice. So to tell you a little bit about her, she is a Feldenkrais practitioner. So how many people have heard of the Feldenkrais method? So it's probably pretty obscure. But it's a combination of a hands-on practice and something called awareness through movement. So if you guys Google Feldenkrais method, you can find some like online lessons to do. But I have Mary's website also in the outline on the PDF. So the idea that we can support the body in a way that allows the muscles to soften and let go and release tension. So that feels really good. And I can do that just by kind of supporting in a way that the muscles can start to let go. And I'm not like really doing anything. I'm just kind of holding that space, right? And we can also start to introduce some little gentle movements that are also going to help the horse soften and relax. So we can think of softening in a lot of different ways. So when the muscle lets go of tension and it lengthens, that it's a softening, and we can feel that in the tissues. We can feel when the fascia starts to soften. So we have that kind of tissue softening. And we also have the softening of movement. So if we can gently move the skeleton, we mobilize all the joints, that softens. And the other way we can soften is when the nervous system relaxes, the body softens. Okay, so, I forgot to do the thing. My manners. We just met. All right, so I'm going to put my hands on his withers, and I'm going to just start to make a few tiny, whoa, he braced a little there, but can I just make a little energetic movement through the skeleton? Now, what does that mean, energetic movement? So we can use our movement, we can use our energy to mobilize, and we can use our energy to ground. And I'm just trying to just send like a little tiny movement through the skeleton. And when we think of energetic movements, it's like it's not forceful. So the minute I start to force, I create resistance. It's like the opposite of what I'm trying to do here. And it has the quality that you go back to nothing. Like you start from nothing, you make a movement, you go back to nothing. So it's very light. Sorry. So keeping my hand on him is also less stimulating to the nervous system. So here, if I want to move where I'm rocking, I might just slide my hands instead of picking them up. Now, if this is too much for him, then I might go back to something more grounding. Like I can just do little muscle lifts. So I can take my hands and just lift the muscles and hold. Because sometimes that movement is a little too, so I don't actually want his feet to move. Most trainers are like, move the feet, da, da, da. But I actually am working on just, can we soften in the body without moving away? So maybe I'll just start with some little muscle lifts here. This is really boring to watch too, by the way. But it's really fun to do. So you just sense with your hands, and this is where, so when I really first started understanding how to access behavior through the body, I went to a Masterson method clinic, and I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Because you're not like training the horse and building connection that way, but you're removing all the blocks, right? So that you just connect, and you just, wherever they brace, you just let that go. So this kind of has a similar quality. And so I want him to get interested in what I'm doing. I want to do stuff that feels good to him. So instead of saying, hey, pay attention, don't pay attention to that, come over here, and making them do it like that, they actually want to pay attention. And so, a lot of people desensitize their horses. So this is like kind of my, hill to stand on or whatever. Like I don't want to desensitize. So I want to sensitize my horse, but I want to be able to communicate calm, safety, relax, and they're responsive to that, right? So desensitizing and calming are not the same thing. And desensitize, you agree? But can you do more of those muscle lifts? So again, I want to connect in a way that the horse wants to be with me, right? And not feel like I'm making them do it. And when I can get them to let go of where they're holding and just kind of move with me in a soft way, that's going to translate into groundwork, that's going to translate into riding. So we're not going to get there today, but I also teach riding, with your movements.